Encircling the entire burial complex is a massive defensive wall, rising approximately 7.5 meters in height.
The base construction reveals thick layers of rammed earth, engineered for long-term structural endurance.
From above, the wall defines a strict boundary between the outer world and the sealed imperial domain.
The scale of the wall emphasizes isolation, separation, and absolute control. Each corner reinforces a geometry of defense, leaving no visual or symbolic opening.
One of 4 main gates marks cardinal orientation rather than accessibility.
These gates were symbolic markers, not invitations to enter.
The eastern gate aligns with cardinal direction, reinforcing cosmic order rather than physical access.
The western gate completes the enclosure, sealing the complex on all 4 sides. Axial alignment governs every approach, reflecting centralized imperial authority. At night, the walls remain unreadable, reinforcing isolation.
Visibility decreases, while symbolic authority remains absolute.
The inner face of the wall conceals the most restricted spaces.
Encircling the entire burial complex is a massive defensive wall, rising approximately 7.5 meters in height.
The gates function as symbols rather than access points. Material choice reflects durability over refinement. The gate defines separation more than transition. Beyond the gate lies controlled emptiness.
Patrol paths suggest surveillance without visibility.
The layout was intentionally confusing, designed to disorient anyone who entered.
These corridors were not meant to guide the living, but to protect the dead.
The layout was intentionally confusing, designed to disorient anyone who entered. The layout was intentionally confusing, designed to disorient anyone who entered. The precision of the stonework reflects the advanced engineering of the Qin dynasty. These structures supported not only the tomb, but the weight of an empire. Not every chamber held treasures. Some existed only to confuse and delay. The air here has remained untouched for centuries. This place was designed to be sealed forever. Every passage leads deeper into the Emperor's underground world.
This is not a place meant for the living.
These corridors repeat by design, creating a sense of endless distance. No markings were left here. Every turn was meant to confuse. The precision of the stonework reflects absolute control and discipline. These pillars supported the structure, and the weight of centuries above. Some chambers were left empty, serving no purpose but delay. The air here has remained undisturbed for centuries. Even the largest spaces were designed to feel silent and oppressive. Beyond this point, the tomb grows deeper and more unforgiving.
As we move deeper, the architecture begins to close in, signaling entry into a more restricted zone. The subtle imbalance in these corridors was likely intentional, disrupting orientation underground.
Beyond this point, light was never meant to guide the living. Each threshold marks a deliberate separation between functional space and sacred interior.
The design becomes simpler, yet more oppressive, emphasizing control over comfort.
Even light itself is structured here, reinforcing order and permanence.
These passages were not designed for return, only for passage inward.
Occasionally, space opens up, reminding us of the immense scale beneath the surface.
These walls were constructed without ornament, prioritizing function over expression.
This transitional zone establishes a clear shift in spatial hierarchy.
Movement here follows strict axial alignment, reflecting centralized authority. Sharp turns limit visibility and regulate the pace of movement. Darkness here is not incidental, but intentionally designed. The stone floor demonstrates precision rather than decoration. These massive supports indicate proximity to significant chambers. The architecture applies both physical and psychological pressure. This route was designed for inward movement only. The increase in scale signals approach to the core of the complex.
Silence here reinforces permanence and finality.
Beyond this threshold lies the most protected zone of the Emperor's underground domain. This corridor marks the approach to a more significant architectural zone. Symmetry here reflects centralized planning and imperial control. The scale of these columns signals proximity to a central chamber. This transitional space establishes a ceremonial threshold. The central axis organizes movement and hierarchy throughout the complex. These thick walls emphasize protection over accessibility. Silence and scale work together to convey authority.
Large stone thresholds define entry points into increasingly restricted sections of the tomb. Beyond the threshold, the scale of the architecture expands significantly. The central column anchors both the structure and the symbolic weight of the space. The underground hall begins to reveal the true scale of the imperial design. Perfect symmetry reinforces the concept of imperial order and control. The stone floor reflects precision and discipline rather than ornament. These columns frame the space without decorative intent. The ceiling emphasizes permanence and structural authority. At the center of the hall, silence becomes absolute. Secondary passages extend control beyond the main ceremonial axis. The walls maintain restraint through deliberate simplicity. Scale and stillness communicate authority without the need for ornament. This axis leads toward the most restricted and sacred zone of the imperial tomb.
This passage leads away from the ceremonial core toward auxiliary burial areas.
These chambers were designated for those buried in service to the emperor.
The orderly layout reflects hierarchical burial practices of the Qin dynasty.
These burials likely belonged to imperial consorts accompanying the emperor in death.
High-ranking officials were buried nearby to continue their service beyond life. These collective burials reflect the scale of sacrificial practices. Movement through these spaces was tightly controlled. The walls emphasize enclosure rather than commemoration. Light here serves only to reveal, not to honor. Once sealed, these tombs were never meant to be reopened. The atmosphere conveys permanence rather than mourning. The burial order reflects strict ritual hierarchy.
These spaces were intended to remain untouched for eternity.
The design gradually withdraws towards silence.
Silence here is complete and intentional.
This area marks the end of the auxiliary burial zone.
Architectural transitions signal shifts in function.
Light fades as the burial spaces conclude. The auxiliary tombs form a closed and final environment. This concludes the auxiliary burial zone within the imperial tomb.